Well, Chris, thank you for being here today at our shop in Muro. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having us here. It's great. It's such a beautiful space as well.
Yeah, it's a very nice space. I mean, we get a lot of customers from all the offices around, so it's quite a chilled environment. It gets really busy early morning
Yeah,
with everyone getting the coffee before getting to the office and also after lunch.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's a great chilled space. It's good.
Do you find that you have a lot of like repeat customer people that are in the area? Like, do you recognize the same faces?
We do. We tend to, yeah, especially in this area because everyone works in the area. They come for coffee every morning.
Nice.
Probably we all are like that. We tend to go to the same place to get our coffee, to get our lunch,
Yeah,
our breakfast. So everyone, yeah, pretty much is the same people every day. The good thing is that because some of these buildings like this one are new buildings, you get more people, new people coming in because not all of the offices are filled up. Every week there's a new office, a new company coming in.
right.
So you get new faces, which is great. It's good, yeah, but the majority are same regulars,
Nice.
which is great in an office environment. Yeah, but not good on the weekends because everyone is gone.
Yeah. What do you do on weekends?
We don't open weekends
Right.
in this one, but we got another one near here, a couple of streets down the road, and in that one we open, yeah, every day, including weekends. That is also in an office building. It gets really busy as well because there is a lot of residential around here,
Okay.
especially where we go that one there.
Yeah.
There is a lot of, I don't know if you've seen around here, Aldgate, there's a new developments, apartments, very busy weekends as well, yeah, which is great.
Because I think that's comes up a lot when I speak to other coffee shop owners, particularly when they're in areas with like a lot of week trade that they then perhaps don't have so much trade on the weekend. I always wonder whether that's an area for people to look at and be like, oh, I wonder if there's something that we could do to like encourage something to happen on a weekend, particularly in areas like here where we are today.
We don't tend to go into places that do not open weekends because I think our operations are 7 days of the week. Now, the reason why we don't open here on weekends is just pretty much it's logistically because of the building. But in future, we will.
Yeah.
So we very soon will be opening weekends, which is what we want because we also get a lot of students. Are you open every day of the week?
Yeah. So 7 days a week at all sites. So Clapham South, and in Haggerston as well. And initially, the original kind of Haggerston site was really fueled by customers from the photography studios that we run as well, and the co-working spaces. So they kind of happened first, and then the coffee shops came second. And so we had this kind of like captive audience of people that were there already, and it was almost like day one that we opened up on the street of the coffee shop, that's when we started to get more regular faces of people that like lived in the area, people that worked in the area. And so it spanned really nicely over that 7 days quite well. Definitely different customers from, I would say, Monday to Friday and Saturday and Sunday. But what I've really noticed is post kind of COVID is that there's a real mix now with more working from home. It really blends across those days. But I guess in the initial stages, it was always you had your Monday to Friday group and then your Saturday and Sunday group.
That is like in a more neighborhood location that
Yeah, because it's between Dalston and Shoreditch, it's really blended because it's actually one of the reasons why we ended up there was because it's a lot of live work. So people were working from home anyway, but then obviously this was like 15 years ago. As more and more people moved to that area because it became cool and trendy, the type of person that was moving there probably worked in the city, whereas you never really had that before. But they were working in the city and then living in Dalston or Shoreditch. So it kind of changed the dynamic of the customer. But yeah, you always had this kind of like, you would have a row of houses and then a warehouse that had like live work units in it. So you'd have like a painter or a photographer or an architect working in these places, and living there as well.
yeah, no, the reason why I asked it was because exactly that. Well, during COVID and after COVID, those dynamics changed. And if you were in a neighborhood location before COVID, you did great during COVID if you were there. and after as well, because people actually continue staying home, working from home, and in neighborhood locations, they come to your shop for the coffee. It's like, oh, I'm gonna step out.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, it's the opposite in these kind of places. But yeah, it is. That's what I was wondering. How did you get into coffee?
Yeah, so kind of because of the photography studio. So Brendan and I, who was my business partner, we set the company up between the two of us. We'd always had a background in food and beverage. Like I'd worked at like different restaurants and stuff from being really young. And Brendan had worked as a chef and a chocolatier as well. And off the back of the photography studios, we decided that we needed a street facing company. And it was just at that kind of period in London where the coffee scene was, there were some people already doing things, but it wasn't the way that it is now,
How
where
long ago was
there's
that?
about 15 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, so quite a while ago when we set the photography studios. And then a couple of years later, that's when we had this front facing unit that was attached to the studios that we were like, we need to put something in here that's like our kind of calling card to the neighborhood that we've got co-working spaces and the studios. And so we just kind of fell into it, I guess. And the original pairing, which we still have today, was kind of coffee and wine because we'd always been interested in just really well made products and making it accessible for people as well. Because there's always this kind of thing, particularly around wine, I think, that it's like quite inaccessible.
Yeah.
I think that's changed quite a bit over the past couple of years. But yeah, that's how we kind of started with coffee. And so we started with this like little on the street hatch serving coffee out of the window. And I remember like the first few customers that we had, and you'd be like so nervous that you were like, oh my God, are you going to come back? Is this going to like keep sustaining? And you'd be super happy if you got like 20 customers that
I
day.
remember.
Um, yeah.
I had the same feeling. I had the same feeling. Yes, because when you open your doors for the first time, and I was roasting the coffee at home
Ah,
in
right.
my, I mean, at home in my lounge,
Yeah.
and then roasting the coffee there. Then we opened this pop up just well opposite my house, and then I took the 1 kilo roaster there, and I continue roasting there. But then you are like, are people going to like the coffee
Yeah.
I'm roasting, the coffee we're making? And yes, I had exactly the same feeling the one you had, which is nervous. Like, these are paying customers.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, people won't come back if they don't like what they. I mean, I was very nervous as well. I mean, I really identify myself with that.
It's such a nervous feeling of like vulnerability,
Yeah.
especially like opening the door and inviting people in. That I guess it's one thing that has got easier with time, but it never really goes away. I think I'm quite house proud as well, so I'm like letting people into a space. I always want to make sure that the space is nice for people and always make sure that the product's right as well. So you have to keep those standards up. But yeah, it's about kind of letting go to that vulnerability a little bit and giving up to a bit of risk.
Yeah, as things happen, as you go, as the day passes, obviously it gives you more confidence.
Yeah.
You know, okay, I'm doing it right. But obviously you always need to keep up, and you always need to keep on your toes.
Yeah.
Because yeah, if you just oh yeah, I got all the customers, or you know, everyone is happy, and
Yeah.
if you just decided not to keep challenging yourself, is where you start making mistakes. And but yeah, no, you're totally right. I mean, at the beginning, you get really nervous of, yeah, are they going to come back? And then now is, I need to keep up that level,
Yeah.
and I need to actually make sure. The difficult thing is to stay up there,
Yeah. Yeah.
keeping everyone happy, which you cannot keep everyone happy that anyway. But to try to maintain that consistency, that's the difficult thing. Yeah, than actually getting that.
It's actually one of our biggest things that me and Brendan always go back to is about consistency. And by that, it's consistency of like the product, consistency of the service, basically everything, and just trying to maintain those like standards all the time. And I think once you do that for a lengthy amount of time, it makes you more confident and it kind of builds a bit of a foundation as well for everything else to kind of grow on top of it. And I think I talk to like lots of young creatives that come and like run desks with us, and you often find that there's a real anxiety about them being able to sustain their businesses over a long period of time. And I think that you look at companies like ours, like yours, and people look at it and think, oh, that must be really, really, either really, really hard to do, which it is, but it's about maintaining consistency. And that's probably the biggest thing, is just keeping the consistency, growing over time. And yeah, I think that's a kind of recipe for success, really.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. All yeah, consistency is key in all this. But how? I don't know. I'm just wondering. Obviously, you open your first shop. What makes you okay? Let's open another one.
Yeah.
Let's do the second one. I mean, because obviously we all have different perspectives, and sometimes people think that it's so easy to go out there and yeah, well, it's not that easy, but also is. I had this question being asked by somebody. How do you know, you needed to open your second shop? Or, and then I was like, yeah, that's true. I mean, obviously things line up and the opportunities come up and the right side need to come up. But then, because at that time, I had only 2 employees. Well,
Yeah.
I was one of them. Well, I hired a third one. But then when I opened the second shop, I was between those two shops running around. I was like, goodness me, what have I done?
Yeah. I had that same feeling. What have I done? I think we'd never gone into it thinking that we were going to open like a chain. It just was never a conversation that we had. I think that what it had stemmed from was that the hatch in Haggerston was doing really well and it was busy and popular. And we thought, oh, maybe there's some legs in this, that we could try doing this in another site. Let's try and copy what we've done here, in the sense that we'll take the elements from it. So hatch style serving, near a station, because the Haggerston shop is literally directly across the road from the overground station. So you just got this constant feed of people walking past the shop, which is great. It's kind of self-advertising itself.
Yeah.
And we got into a conversation with, at the time, TFL, and they then got back to us and they were like, do you know what? We've got this really odd unit. It's very small. There's a guy in there at the moment that's running a newspaper stand and he's retiring. Would you be interested in looking at it? We went to see it and I was like, oh, it's so cool. It's such a strange unit inside Clapham South Station. It's got these like old wooden doors and had these like little details to it that I thought were quite cute, but it was a very small unit. So yeah, it was never really a plan. It was just that it kind of presented itself as this opportunity to take this unit. I guess one crazy thing was to straddle London. Basically, we're in like East London for the Haggerston site and Clapham South. They're a bit of a trek between each other. I mean, anybody that doesn't know the geography of London, it might seem that on a map they're quite close, but I always think anywhere in London it's actually 45 minutes to an hour to get to. So it takes me about 45 minutes, an hour to get there. And it was about how we then straddle the time between two sites. Like you said, you're like, oh, what have I done? I've opened these two sites. I have to keep traveling between the two. But do you know what? Now the Clapham South shop has got to a place where it kind of runs itself.
It's a great location.
Yeah. It's busy, got a really good team. Yeah, it seems to be okay now.
Yeah, no, because for us it was, I mean, I think I remember we opened the second site because when we were in Ulster Station, we were roasting the coffee station.
Yeah.
Which was great. It was bringing more customers because I remember customers used to say, oh, as soon as the train gets into the platform, the doors are open. The smell of coffee comes through the carriage, and people are like, "Oh, freshly roasted."
Yeah.
So we had.
I mean, that is an advert in itself, right?
Exactly, and because when trains pull into the tunnel, into the platform, they suck air.
Yeah.
When you're coming down the escalators, you feel the air going inside the tunnel.
Yeah.
So then all the smell of the coffee, fumes of the roaster were going all the way down into the tunnel. That was fantastic.
Amazing.
So that's why we had long queues. Yeah. But then when we opened the second one in Bethnal Green Road by Brick Lane, was because we needed to be able to have a space also to continue roasting, because at some point it became difficult to roast in the station. We were looking for somewhere where to continue roasting our coffee in the shop, but also obviously to take the opportunity because it was a very busy area.
Yeah, yeah. Also risky to change the setup that was working at
Yeah.
Old Street to then be like, oh, we're going to remove this roaster, and there's always like fear of changing anything.
Yes, it was, but then at the same time, we were so busy. We had the customers every morning. We were like, actually, we couldn't actually continue roasting the way we were doing it because with a little tiny shopping station,
Yeah,
either you got space for the customers to come in and get a coffee, or you roast.
yeah,
Obviously, that was the reason. And yes, I was saying, oh, what have we done? Because obviously I need to split myself between two shops, but then also because my brother, well, who's also in the business, Adnan was still doing his other job. Adnan is the other business partner.
Right.
The three of us, Adnan, Victor, and myself. And Victor, my brother, was still doing his other job because obviously we weren't making any money.
yeah, yeah.
Barely pay myself a salary. And Victor was doing his other job. During his days off, he was coming to cover my days off
Right.
on weekends. And Adnan was helping, but he was also doing a full-time job.
Right, right.
But he was doing the online, he was doing the website, he was doing, post, Instagram and all that, things that he could do from home.
Yeah.
And I was running around between both shops myself. I mean, it was challenging, but it was great. The three of us, we were trying to cope with the two shops at the same time. It was fantastic. I mean, it's a good learning curve anyway.
Yeah, yeah. How do you find working with family? And is the other person your friend, or are you all
He's
family?
my partner.
Ah, right.
yeah.
So how do you find working with your partner and your brother?
I've been working with my brother for the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Before other company we used to work for. We were working in the same company, but he was doing we were in different areas. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So we weren't actually dealing or talking each other every
Like
day.
day to day, yeah.
Day to day on our daily tasks. But obviously at the beginning is challenging. But we got to, we've been able to work very, very well, to be honest. And I know I've heard people when they got family businesses or when they work with family, it's very difficult. We've been able to create a great team because also my brother's wife, she's also working in the business.
Wow.
So it's basically, the four of us, it's a family run business, but we run it as a company as it should be. Obviously, when you say family run, sometimes people think that, you don't, we obviously have to do it properly. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to run a successful business.
Yeah.
We're doing well in the sense of we get on really well, the four of us, in the daily task. Obviously, we are in charge of different areas. I am pretty much in charge of the whole roasting, production, sourcing of the coffee, green beans, quality control in the roastery, from the sourcing of the green to the selection, roasting, quality, and all that. Victor, my brother, he is operationally overseeing all the shops, making sure that obviously we got enough staff in the shops, people, and the things that we need to run the shops and all that operationally. And Adnan is looking at the strategy side of it, marketing and the growth plans and all that sort of things that obviously, we divide, like you say, we divide and conquer, trying to obviously
play to each other's strengths.
Yes, exactly.
Because people always ask me and Brendan, because we were friends before we set up a business together. So we met when we were about 16, which was a long, long time ago. And people often ask us how we can run a business and stay friends, because we're still friends now. Our partners get on with each other. We go on holiday together. We're still really, really close.
You do everything together.
Yeah, everything together. I guess that was one of our biggest, or one of my biggest learning curves, definitely, is how to balance the responsibility of keeping a friendship relationship and a business relationship working. And they definitely got tangled in the beginning. I couldn't tell the difference between one or the other. Whereas now there's definitely more of a separation between the two because I think you have to have that. And you've got four people feeding into that, which must be, I can only imagine if you hadn't learned those lessons about
Yeah.
respect, I guess. I think ultimately it comes down to respect for each other.
Yes, as I said at the beginning, I mean, it's not easy, but I think it wasn't that difficult for us. I think what's important, as you said, is, yeah, because at the beginning, we were doing everything together. And, I remember when I was coming home and Adnan wasn't still fully involved in the business because he had his, Monday to Friday full-time job. And he wanted to talk. Okay, how did it go today? Tell me. And I'm like, I don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
And so then for once, I just don't want to, want to talk about work. But he wanted to talk about work because he wasn't there the entire day.
Yeah.
So he wanted to know how things went. And anyway, but then now we all obviously fully involved in the business. But then and we said pretty much, well, this is, for instance, in the case of Anna and myself. Okay. Went home, please, nothing about work, unless it's an emergency, unless it's business critical or small things. But let's don't make this 24/7 work.
Yeah.
Because, it makes, otherwise it becomes a little bit too much and toxic. And I think it's the same with my brother. Yeah. And with his wife. We have family times, all of us, and where, work is not involved. But, it's not. It hasn't been easy, but it's great.
But I definitely feel that there's massive value in working with somebody that is my friend because we kind of built all these connections through our friendship over the years, and we do rely on bits of it now. We know that we're always there to kind of support each other, and it's not just some person that's joined just because it's a business. I don't know if that makes sense, but you're basically trying to support each other financially. You're trying to make something work because it's supporting people that you love and care about as well, which I always find quite interesting. It's a different dynamic thing.
No, I know what you mean, but there is that level of trust. You feel like, the other person as invested as you are. So you feel even more supported. Right. I think, in my humble opinion, I don't think we would have been able to achieve what we have achieved, to get here, to be here, if it wasn't for all of us. It is not about one person. It is about everyone, and everyone's contribution adds so much that I don't think. I mean, I started a business myself. I was working every day, 7 days a week, in the shop every day, myself doing everything. But then I had Victor supporting and Adnan supporting, obviously with the limitations they had at that time because they were doing other jobs. But we wouldn't have been able to get here if they didn't get involved the way they did. And I guess the same thing for you with your friend. You need that. But I mean, it's great. It's great to see, that you're able to achieve something, working really hard with people you care about, and everyone is pulling towards the same direction. So now you got 3 shops.
3 shops, yeah.
The third one
actually came out as a response during COVID because, and I probably should talk about the 4th shop that we had that we no longer have, because I always think it's always great to be like, oh, this worked really well, but we did one thing that just didn't work, and we were grown enough to be like, this isn't working, we need to close it, it's distracting us. But yeah, the 3rd shop it's also in Haggerston, grew as a kind of like food deli and also selling coffee. And it was because during COVID we were getting so many more people buying products from us, bread, food, vegetables, milk.
Some point,
milk.
We were selling milk.
Yeah. We were selling milk straight out of our milk tap to people. Were bringing their bottles and refilling them. And so it grew from that, really, that we realized that there was actually a bit of a want for something like that in our area. And also, we don't really have seating at the Haggerston Hatch site because it's kind of takeout on the street. So the deli offers a bit of seating as well. So it's kind of a slightly different offer, slightly different customer, I would say, as well. But yeah, the fourth shop that no longer exists, I always think that it it is important to talk about the failures as well, because there's so much. I think now people are a bit more open to talking about failures, but again, when you see a company that's doing really well, I think people can be like, "Oh, they must have had it so easy." Whatever they're thinking, I don't always think it's super clear to see the rises and falls of like different part elements of the business. And yeah, we opened a site a bit further in East London in Leighton, and a number of different factors just weren't working for us. It was very neighborhood, not really a lot of people working there. So you would get one or two people come in during the day and maybe just sit in there for like hours and hours and hours and drinking one coffee, which is fine, but you can't build a business off that. And we very quickly learned that the business wasn't, it was doing okay, but it wasn't making enough money to sustain itself and wash its own face, basically. So I think it stayed open a year, which isn't a long time. And I know that it can take three, I think even now, probably 5 years for businesses really to embed themselves. But what we noticed was actually our attention was being drawn away from three other businesses, or two other businesses at the time, that were doing quite well and were remaining quite consistent. We noticed that there was a few things where maybe operationally we weren't able to focus on. And so that created problems, and we were like, we need to stop. We need to close this one down, concentrate back on the other three. And I think that's worked really well for us and been really successful, because we've been able to like focus our time back on three businesses that are, they're doing quite well. And I think there's real value in recognizing that. Because it personally, I took it as like, I was like, oh no, this is terrible. What have I done? I'm a failure. And then I'm like, hang on a second, let's have a bit of a reality check. You're not a failure. It's just hasn't worked, and it's okay.
I mean, we and you as a business owner, you learn from those things.
Yeah.
And we've done that as well. We've done, I mean, we had to close the Bethnal Green Road, the one by Brick Lane.
Yes, yeah.
Because when we started opening the shops right after COVID, well, COVID hasn't finished, but after we were able to open shops,
Yeah.
we had to do a reality check, and we were like, hang on, this shop is not going to pick up. And it's going to take a while until tourists are able to travel.
Yeah.
I mean, mainly that shop was busy because of tourists.
Yeah, Brick Lane.
And we were like, it's gonna take at least a year. We are not. I mean, Americans and people from all over the world, they weren't able to travel into the UK. So we were like, those were our biggest customers in shops like that. We said, no, we have to close it. We have to close it, and we need to face it. And we did that. We relocated the shop. I mean, and we said, okay, where do we go? And we found another great site that was able to do well. And but we didn't want to at the beginning. We were like, oh, yeah, and exactly the same thing you mentioned. Oh, people are gonna think that's a failure. But that was only for a moment that we thought that. I thought that, but then I thought, oh, I mean, if it doesn't work, doesn't work.
No.
Because otherwise, then you're gonna hurt the business, and the business will be impacted overall, and you don't want that.
No, I think as there's also the feeling of failure. I think as well, we're responsible for people's livelihoods. People are working in those shops. It's not a decision that's taken lightly, but similarly, we're also responsible for people's livelihoods in those other shops, and you can't like nosedive a whole company. And I have seen, maybe not in the coffee world necessarily, but I've seen other examples of businesses where business owners will just not pay any attention to the fact that one part of their company is just not working. They won't cut those ties to it, and it drags everything else down. And unfortunately, they don't realize in time, and then it's over before they know it. And I think that's really key to recognizing where things aren't working. And it might not even be so big as like closing a shop. It could be that you've rolled something out inside of a company, and that just isn't working. And so you need to like roll that back or just think, do you know what? This hasn't worked. Is there anything that I can learn from this? Can I turn it into something else? If not, it's fine. I'll move on.
Yeah, you gotta be pragmatic.
Yeah.
And hard decisions need to be made, and you need to make those decisions if you are to continue, overall trading and you having a successful business.
Yeah.
That's how, from these kind of situations, is that you learn. You learn to find better sites, you learn to find better locations and do things differently. Not to launch or not to do, as you said, certain things that won't work, but that's the only way how you learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That thing about learning as well, it's quite interesting that, again, when speaking to like people setting up businesses or particularly like young creatives, I think I always hear the same thing, that they're like, oh, I'll do this when this, I'll do A when B is ready, or I've learned such and such skill. And I'm like, sometimes you have to just make the leap of, obviously a bit of an educated leap, that you've got a few things in place. But I think knowing that everything's going to be perfect's not on the menu.
You'll never do it.
You will never ever do it.
You'll never do it.
Even now, I look at my businesses and I'm like, there's areas to like tweak and refine and change, and that will never stop. There'll always be that.
Yeah, that's true. And if you say until things are perfect, you will do it. You need to, obviously, you need to have some certain level of knowledge of what you're going to do, what you want to do. But have that knowledge, that confidence, and believe in yourself that you're able to, that you can actually make it happen.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not gonna be rosy, and it's not gonna be great from the beginning. No, but that experience, that knowledge, and that certainty that you are able to make it happen. Even if it's difficult, you will go through things. You will go through difficult times. Yeah, it is the same thing for us. I mean, if we wait for when things are perfect, you will never get things done.
No. Also, that idea of the failure, I always like, or now, I think, I clip it on as a bit of an armor, that I'm like, it's okay, I learned from that. Don't forget it. Remember it, and I'll clip that on as a bit of armor and use that in the future. Sometimes I forget things, and then whenever we go into like a new project, I always try and think back to what worked, what didn't work. I always think that's quite important.
Yeah, I mean, I think what has helped a lot in our case is that before we were working in the industry, we learned from other places and companies where we worked. I mean, when I was studying at university here, whilst I was doing my master's, I was working in a kitchen. I was working in a coffee shop. I was working in a pastry shop, pastry shop. So I understand from the kitchen, then job as a waiter in the same place, then working in the shop, then making coffees, and all the way up to to being at a regional manager level or international franchise director level. So, and the same my brother. So then that gave us a lot of experience to actually be able. I was then looking for sites, to open sites for this company across the country, being the openings manager, site openings manager. So obviously all that gave us a lot of knowledge. And what I tell, and Adnan was also obviously in the part of the strategy and all that and growth. Obviously he's got his consulting side of it, so which is management consultant, which also brought a lot knowledge into the business on that side, because young people ask me, I want to open my own business. But learn what you want to know. I mean, what you want to do. But then in my case, and what I tell people is, go and learn from others. Go and get the knowledge working for other people.
Yeah.
Go and, if you want to have a coffee shop, go and look for a job in that coffee shop or in a coffee shop similar like to do everything, every single step, every single job, in that coffee shop, and learn from them. Become the manager of that coffee shop, become the area manager of that company.
Yeah.
And then later, I mean, you never know when you're ready.
No.
Just when you feel that you're full of confidence, it could take you a year or two. It could take you 3 years. It could take you 6 months. But then, unless you are not jumping into something that you've never done and you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
That's that's what I think.
People ask us as well sometimes about that transition into owning your own business, and yeah, it's not so black and white. Like, it wasn't like one day I woke up and I was like, I'm going to run my own business. I think me and Brendan have always diversified the way that we've earned money, always had like multiple jobs. I used to be a cleaner when I first moved to London, like cleaning people's houses. And I would say that even skills that I learned doing that, I still use today. Operationally, keeping spaces tidy and running spaces is really important. That it's almost like every job I've ever had. I used to work at a dog rehoming place years ago when I was like 16. But even that job, there were skills that I learned there that I'm still using today. And I know that's like, people are like, oh, it's easy to say there are transferable skills, but there really are. And I think if people treat their jobs from being really young to being older as important, learning those skills and transferring them over. Like you said, you could work in a coffee shop, but equally you could be a cleaner, or you could be, a delivery driver or anything like that. And second to that is that those jobs are always there to support you whilst you're trying to launch your business as well. Like, for a long time, me and Brendan still had part-time jobs. Like you said, your partners were working in other jobs. But for a long time, me and Brendan were also working in part-time jobs to support the setting up of the photography studios, because it was the only way that we could afford to do it. We come from quite like working class backgrounds, and from a town that's like, I love my town. I do love where I come from, and I'm proud that I come from there. But it's a really hard town, very working class. It was kind of post-industrial fishing town, Grimsby. And I think for a lot of young people that live in towns like that, I suspect that it can be quite hard to be like, how do you make that jump from being in this town to running a business in a city, or even running a business in Grimsby? And I, obviously on Instagram and stuff, I see loads of cool companies opening up. There's a really cool beer company called Doc's Beers. I think there was a chocolate company there. There's a few fashion designers and jewelry designers. And I'm like, it is possible. It's possible to do it. But you've just got to work, earn money to support yourself, and keep things going like that.
Yeah, I mean, it is a journey
Yeah.
full of ups and downs, but I mean, yeah, we just need to keep the consistency and keep it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And what's next before we?
Yeah, we get asked this a lot. What's next? And I guess there's always that idea that, oh, open another shop or do this, which, yes, we could totally open another shop. But I think actually what's next for us is maintaining consistency of what we are doing. And I think that actually is a project in itself, because sometimes I think it can be a bit of a dopamine hit to be like, oh, we're going to work on this new project and open a new site up and look at the how we're going to design it. But actually turning back and being like, the free businesses that we've got, or free sites that we've got with the coffee shops, how do we look at those and drill down into them and make them as best as they can be? Not saying perfect. It's not about them being perfect, but it's about, I guess, maximizing what they can do operationally, making sure that, are we doing all the interesting things with coffee? Are we working with our suppliers and doing like tastings and things like that, and engaging our audience a little bit more, which I think that we're doing a really good job of at the moment. So I think that is what is next, is more of that, more of the same for a while. Because I think as well, me and Brendan often talk about, other businesses and like heritage brands of London. And we've always been big advocates for like the brand of London. Like, we love being in London. That's why we're here. And I think that really it's about leaning into being a company that will be around for another 15 years. Because there's real value in that for us anyway. There's real value in it. And often I think as well that I think some smaller business owners often overlook that detail of like looking back at your business and kind of drilling down into those small areas, because sometimes there's like small financial gains that when repeated, they add up to quite a lot at the end of the year.
Definitely.
The trade-off of not opening another site which can look on paper that, oh, open another site and you'll make as much money here. Well, maybe not. Maybe that doesn't equate to the same money that's being made there. Maybe you get distracted so much that the money drops on this other shop. And actually, yeah, there's real value in kind of looking back at those free shots, making sure the plates are
Yeah.
spinning, people are happy. Yeah,
So you can focus on that shop and invest all that time and money in making the others even better.
exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty much for us at the moment as well. What's next for us is obviously we are doing a few projects, but I mean, one of those is, yeah, let's consolidate what we have. Let's work on and invest more time and money in the existing shops. Some of the shops need things to do in the shops, makeover here and there. And we are working on that, investing that money and that time in those shops to try to maximize, as you said, the shops and making sure that the quality is there, consistency is there, but also that we get the best out of that shop. And also, well, we now started a franchising route. We started franchising, and we got a lot of inquiries and a lot of people.
Oh, amazing.
Asking for that. We're also focusing a lot in wholesale now as well, which weren't before. We got a lot of people asking about wholesale. So, we got those, let's say, 3 projects, consolidating our shops, making sure they are run to the fullest and best we can, get the best out of them, and keeping the quality and consistency. Wholesale, we get a lot of inquiries and getting a lot of customers wholesale, not just in the UK, but also worldwide. We ship a lot to the Middle East for wholesale.
Yeah.
And the franchising side of it that we also is a big project we're working on right now, and it's very exciting.
Well, that's
and
really
it's keeping
exciting.
us very busy.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But that's great. Yeah.
It's like a whole other business that, it's like launching a new kind of business.
It is. Yeah.
You've got such a recognizable brand, though, that I think there's real value in that is so distinctive as well. The illustration as well, it's really beautiful.
Yeah, no, we're working on that, and I mean, there's a lot happening, and a lot of news we're gonna have some news very soon. Yeah.
Watch this space.
Big work. Yeah, we are working hard, but. Well, that's great. Great having you here in our space.
Yeah, really appreciate you.
We need to do this more often and
definitely.
catch up. Obviously, these opportunities are great because you learn a lot from other business owners like you.
Yeah, open door, definitely, for people. It's quite an interesting thing to say about speaking to other businesses, because there's definitely this thing of like, particularly in the creative world, of being like, oh, you've got to be so close, and NDAs, and obviously there are things that necessarily can't talk about with new projects. But I think open door and speaking to other business owners it kind of deflates the anxiety out of running your own business, and I definitely think there should be more of it. Yeah.
Because you realize that the others are also facing the same challenges you are.
Exactly.
They have the same worries, and there's like, are they going to like the coffee? Are they going to come back? Like when you've opened the doors for the first time, as you said, I had the same situation. I was thinking exactly the same thing. But anyway, great. Well, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Great to meet you as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, see you soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the London Coffee Festival's Founder Stays On podcast. We hope you enjoyed hearing these incredible stories from the people shaping the future of specialty coffee. Don't forget to subscribe, share this episode, and follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn for more behind-the-scenes content. See you on the next one.